Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It is Monday, September 27th, and this is Open Minded Mystics. My name is Donna, and I am your host. And I am here with Tracy Locke, who is the audience extraordinaire, and of course, Kim Mazzella, who is our mindset coach and light docent. So we want to welcome everyone to the show and remind you that if you're watching on any social media, you should really be subscribing to us on YouTube. We love that so much. But please share us with your friends because the more people know about us, the better. So if you don't mind doing that, that'd be awesome. We are on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is episode 50. And I'm so excited.
50?
50, ladies.
Ooh, it's exciting. Ooh, I
know. It's so funny because we have been on for a year. And somehow we're only on episode 50. It's like one of those things, those math problems that I never figured out in school. Like if a train left at whatever time, I have no idea. And we're gonna welcome in Jerry Reesby. How are you doing, Jerry? If you'd like to say hello, let us know. It is an interactive show, but I won't interrupt the flow. And look at me, I'm rhyming. I'm like a rapper.
Yeah, look at you. Like, we're here tonight. It's going to be all right.
Well, the Tonys were on last night. I feel like I'm inspired, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. We're gonna write our own open-minded mystic musical about like opening yourself up and being like,
open your chakras.
You can do it. Exactly.
Ground yourself. Exactly.
All right. I am so excited for tonight. So Open-Minded Mystics, I want you to know that Kim Mazzella put a whole boatload of work into this one. I am so excited. Now, we were talking about Delores Cannon, and I was saying to both Donna and Kim that she's all over TikTok, and I love her. And Kim was like, Kim didn't realize it, and we were saying how fortuitous that she's everywhere. And now we're going to talk about her. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like people are opening up and finding out. Oh, Jack, please, Jack, I love you, but you can't come in like that.
Kim Mazzella, we just found out
lucky it's not Girls Gone Green, or I'd have more to say to you, Jack. You know that, right?
We found out that Kim Mazzella's whole family is a bunch of Cowboy fans, and we didn't know that before we decided to create this trifecta here.
Yeah.
You said I missed you all last week, so I had to say it now. We love you, Jack. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jack. Oh, we're gonna have Jack. Okay, we're gonna talk about that later.
But
Jack's got a son who's going to be in the NFL, and he's huge.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, so it's very exciting.
It's amazing.
But back to Delores Cannon, I am so excited, Kim, and you're going to open up our world. And Open-Minded Mystics, here's what I want to say to you as the audience member and the newbie. Yes, Jack, and thank you for saying that. Please get your notebooks out because I feel like it's going to be so much information. It's going to be amazing, mind-blowing information that you're going to want to take notes. I have my notebook. I'm ready, Kim.
Okay. Well, and if you're not a notebook person or note taker like I'm not, just remember that the replays are there for you on YouTube at Open Minded Mystics. Please go check out all of the other episodes that we had, but just wait till the show is done. You could binge watch us. There's every episode up until now, which is 50. They were all live, but the replays are just as excellent.
They are.
It's funny. Watch the replays. I say the same things to my clients because I tape all my sessions, and they're getting notes, and I'm always like, why are you writing this down? I'm taping it right now. Did you not hear the little "this is being recorded" thing at the beginning? And they're like, oh, because I feel like if you just listen, it just makes it so much better. And I was so excited when you guys were like, yeah, let's talk about Delores Cannon, because it's just she's so near and dear to my heart. There's so much there. And that's what made me kind of put together a slideshow. Is that me?
Nope, that's me. I'm going to mute myself. Sorry. Okay. I have a new dog downstairs who's playing with a toy.
Oh, Mr. Rusty's got a water bottle or something, right?
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, well, my dog is on my bed, so hopefully she'll chill for a little while. But,
right, exactly.
But she's old, so she kind of just sits there and looks up at me adoringly. Isn't that the best? Anyway, so when I said, what about Delores Cannon? And I had no idea that she was all over TikTok, because I thought, in my friends group, if I said Delores Cannon, I'm the only one that would be like, oh yeah, right? So when I was a younger person, about 16 years ago or 15 years ago, I used to have a show on Blog Talk Radio. And one of the guys that would listen to me told me about Delores Cannon. And he believed that he had been abducted by aliens. And he was very confident that he had been abducted by aliens. And who am I to say you weren't abducted by aliens? What do I know? There's a big, vast world out there. You're going to tell me this is it, right? So I'm, open to everything and listening to people who have stuff to say. And he said that he was saved by Delores Cannon because he thought he was going crazy. And she started writing about alien abductions. And he felt like some of the things that were in those books were exactly like what he felt happened to him. And so I started reading her. I started reading Keepers of the Gardens. And anytime a book of hers came out that I hadn't read yet, because believe it or not, at that point, like there was, I think, 2 more books left. And, but to me, when I was thinking about what I would talk about, there's so much stuff that she has to talk about. And the alien stuff, while interesting, is not as interesting to me as the stuff that Brian Weiss talks about, the stuff that, I don't know if you know who Brian Weiss is. He wrote a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. Ring any bells? Okay. So, and so it's the in-between spaces, the life between life, that I felt was really interesting. And she talks about like that we have a pre-planning thing and that we plan our lives. And so I figured I wanted to kind of talk about our purpose. So if you want to put up the first slide, Donna, I did do a slide because I want to keep myself on track because there's so much information and I'd love to give it all to you, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. Does that make sense? You're with me. Okay. So the second slide, this is Delores Cannon. That's what she looks like. And the cool thing about Delores Cannon is she did not start working until after her kids were raised. And she said that she thinks that the universe made it happen like that so she could be unencumbered and just totally focus on that. So
I love that.
I know. I was going to say, I think that's so important. We have to slow down and say that again because
when I read that fact and that she waited and that she didn't start until her children were grown up for that reason, I actually, when I was reading about her, because I wanted to research it because I was, respecting you and the fact that we were talking about this with our fellow mystics. I really don't know a tremendous amount about Delores Cannon. I'm on the edge of my seat, just like so many others that are watching. But I wanted to learn about her, and I will tell you, I felt like, isn't that interesting? Because right now, where we are in our lives, and it's not even about the physical form of a child. It is, we are on a journey, the 3 of us, and it started because the world slowed down, and we started to really focus and say, what is it that we want to focus our attention on? And while we were all speeding through our lives, whether it be because of children or not being able to hyper focus on what it is that we want to tune into, we have opened this portal up that now is Open-Minded Mystics. And I so connected with that part of Delores Cannon.
Right. And you know what I love about that too is, and I did a video about this yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw it, but the video I said that the universe is ever expansive. There's always enough time. If you're like, because I actually am with someone every day that said, I'm this age and I should be here. There is no should in the universe. You're this age and this is the perfect time for you to learn this thing. So if you're 60 and you want to start something new, it's not too late, especially because if you have that desire in you or you have that excitement in you, that means that's for you. The universe has said yes to it. And that's why it's like, ooh, I'm so excited about it. Right. Yeah. And so even if you're 70 or 80, I don't care what your age is. If you have that, like, I want that, it's there for you. It's just, you have to align with it. And that's, she was not like a spring chicken when she's driving all over like Arkansas. And I've listened to her. She started in Arkansas and she started little, and it was all these individual little sessions. And if you're doing something and it seems like it's small and it seems like it's just you and another person, every single little individual station, Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called The Tipping Point. And he talks about this time where there's just like a mass point where all of a sudden whatever you're doing will take off, right?
The baby steps.
Yeah. So all those little sessions is where she started to learn stuff. And in that learning of stuff, she started putting 2 and 2 together, and she started hearing the same stuff over and over and over again. And then she's like, wow. And then eventually she tried to publish herself, and no one would publish her because they thought she was a kook. Okay. So you want to put up the second slide? Okay. So today we're going to talk about who she is And we're going to go overview of what she teaches and what she believes is really, really the most important stuff that we can learn. And you can take that away. So maybe go to the next one, because that will help us. Okay, so she was a hypnotist, right? What, she wasn't actually like a self-trained. She didn't go to school in it. She was born in the 30s. Her husband was an amateur hypnotist, and she just thought it was interesting. And so when he retired, she started her practice, but she wasn't starting a new age movement. She was just like, oh, I want to help people stop smoking or help them, lose weight. But then what happened was she developed her own technique, and you posted some of it, right? You came up with what
I do. I created a slide. If you don't want me to bring that up, I can show.
It was called. She was like, it was
it's QHHT.
Yeah,
is that the one you're talking about?
Well, that's actually what she did at the end, but it was called a somnambulistic state. She got people almost asleep, right? They were totally asleep, and nobody had really done that before. And she, in that state, they like were able to go beyond their conscious mind into their subconscious mind, and even almost to their superconscious mind. I don't know how to explain it, but they were able to access places that they couldn't access in their daily lives. And so for this was so, she was doing stuff. And here's the thing. One of the things is she didn't go into this saying, wow, I'm going to become like super famous and really get myself out there. She was just like, I like this so much. This is interesting. And I like helping people make changes and helping people do these little things. So if you're doing something in your day, and this is like what I want people to know, if you're doing something in your day and it feels good to you, that little feeling good to you is your sign, right? That little feeling good to you. Like sometimes when I'll do sessions with people and they'll go, oh, and that to me, their experience where they like put 2 and 2 together in their own mind, I'm like flying for a week, right? Nobody knows that happened except me and that person. But those little things and whatever it is you do during your day where you make someone or even have that aha experiences, that is manifesting. That is what we're searching for. Does that make sense?
Total sense.
Yeah.
I had an experience like that recently with a client who was I it's personal, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's so interesting how when you're guiding someone through something or having an innocent and simple conversation, those aha moments can happen where knowing something about someone, not connecting with their child or whatever, for whatever reason it is, and then the child goes into crisis, and then you get to go and serve as a protective parent. The mom said to me, I don't know what good this is going to do. And I said, well, you've been really trying to hone into your child that you're always going to have their back. This is the perfect opportunity to show them, like without just using words. You don't even have to remind them. You just have to act. You just have to be the parent or the friend or whatever, because it can happen for anyone that actually has someone's back. And that is the best example over any amount of words you could say. And she goes, I never even thought of it that way. I said, I've heard you say it for years that your child doesn't really think like, oh yeah, you don't have my back kind of stuff. I'm like, and now guess what? Through example, you're going to get to show it. And then after the fact, don't throw it in someone's face when an example like that happens. But when you can gently say, I would be there for you always. Remember when, but don't say, I told you so. There's a big difference from remember when and I told you so.
Right. Absolutely. So going back to her, so when I first started studying her, I'm like, she's a hypnotist? Why are we all interested in a hypnotist? Yay, she teaches people to stop smoking. No, nay, as Bailey Sarian says. Nay. I love her. What happened was she started having these experiences now with people where they would tell her. So she started working with people who were really afraid. And the first thing that would happen is she started finding out about alien abductions. And from those alien abductions, she started learning more and more stuff. And eventually what she started to speaking to the people who were doing the abduction, not the person, right? So she started speaking to the people that were giving the abduction. And she started learning. Oh yeah, bless you. She started learning about why they were doing those things. And from that place, she started getting more and more information, but in very small sound bites, So she started finding out that there was so much more to this earth than what we see. And so she talks about this earth being seeded, and that in the beginning, this earth was just like a resort place for other alien beings, like because it was lush and beautiful and it had so many different types of, it was a much more interesting planet than some of the other planets out there, apparently, and remember, take this with a grain of salt, but she's not channeling this stuff. She calls herself a reporter. She doesn't change the information that comes through. She doesn't try to manipulate it in any way. She just asks open-ended questions. And the other thing is, she kept getting these masters, these teachers, telling her, we can't tell you that now. The earth isn't ready. The earth isn't ready. And they have a really big reason for starting to talk to her, which we'll talk about the next time we talk about Delores Cannon. Today, I wanted to kind of keep it on a personal level, if that makes sense. You with me? So what were you
you're saying that the various people, different people, will go to her, and they would all come back. Just to reiterate for people that maybe don't understand this, they'd come back with similar information. They don't know each other. And they'd be reporting back as if there were 100 people at the site of some kind of I don't even know, an accident, let's just say. And without knowing each other, she's the reporter individually going to each of them. And under hypnosis, they would report back to her similar stories.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Stories. Yeah. Similar stories. So she started, and what she said is it started going against her belief system. And she was really having a hard time because she would, I don't know what her belief system was, somewhere in the realm of either Catholic, Christian, or Jewish. I would have to think she lives in Arkansas, so she was probably Christian.
She's not Jewish.
She's definitely not Jewish in Arkansas. Maybe, I don't know. She could be, who knows?
I love it. Yeah.
But I mean, she doesn't really strike me as, who knows?
I'll look it up. I'll check it out for you, okay?
I mean, let me not be prejudiced. You don't know. But
no, you're not being prejudiced.
That's so funny.
No one's canceling you. We just want to find out, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go. So the next thing, there's a slide that says, through the people she hypnotized, she spoke to the masters. Can you pull that up?
All right, let's see what we got here.
Okay. Why am I talking to a hypnotherapist? And then the next one. So that one that you just had.
Yep. I don't know why it's, sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
So as I said, she did not ask for them. She didn't go to these people and say, hey, I want to talk to the masters. What happened was she was talking to people who felt like they were abducted by aliens, and the alien abductors were talking to her and then she found that these people were getting better after they had these conversations, and she didn't know why. She didn't have a really good answer, but it was almost like they needed a voice for what was going on. And what happened was they said, we can't tell you everything we know, but we'll give it to you in piecemeal. They didn't say this in the beginning, by the way. They told her more in the middle of her career, but that's why they didn't tell her a lot. And what happened was she hears the same thing over and over and over again, and from many, many different clients. So you could take that down.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I have the answer about her religion.
Oh, what is it?
I think it says many people wonder what Delores Cannon's religious and spiritual beliefs were. She raised me and her other children as Christians, and Delores even sang in the church choir and volunteered to help at Sunday school. But maybe it makes more sense to say her religion was curiosity. She wanted to know it all.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I knew she wasn't Jewish, Kim.
Hey.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. So what happened is more and more people started finding out about her and hearing about her, and none of it was like, she wasn't out there advertising. She wasn't on Facebook saying, hey, if you want, like, this was like in the early 80s. Like, well, she started in the 70s, but when the ball started getting rolling and she started really finding out about this stuff, it was the 80s. And more and more people were finding out about her. And she finally, after 9 years of trying to get published, got published.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Took her 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, she got her first book published. Now she has a whole slew of them. She's no longer living, but she didn't die years and years ago. I can't remember when she died.
She has a whole canon, if you will.
Oh yeah, believe me, I have read them all.
No,
actually, I haven't finished the convoluted. I haven't read the last 3 books, but I'm working on them. But I'm a busy girl. So and I know what she says because ever since the dawn of YouTube, I watch her endlessly. So she started being on YouTube. So so what's important, the next slide will say what I want to talk about next. So
okay. Here we go.
What did they tell her? So what's really important about what they told her is so much of what they tell her is the story of the universe and the earth. They told her how we got here, why we're here, what our collective purpose is, all this stuff. And also, you know, what we're learning and why we need to learn. And they have a comment on how we're doing. Right?
Wow,
you can
that's
take that away.
amazing.
Right. So
Okay.
but it's not like she finds out so much cool stuff. So like, if you like, she talks about Atlantis, which I thought was really interesting. And Atlantis is so old, by the way. It's a true place. It wasn't like a place. It was the universe. The earth was actually called Atlantis, right? But there was a being, a group of people that were more advanced than we are even now. And apparently what happened with them is what we're trying to avoid now. What happened was they got so advanced, and so my dog is going to yell at me. They got so advanced and they were so technologically interested in what was going on that a group of them, they were working with energy, and they were doing all this stuff with energy, and they did stuff with crystals. They were very into crystals, and they healed with crystals, and they built their buildings with crystals, and crystals were their energy source. They could levitate. They learned so much cool stuff. And what happened was they were human. So the humans, some of them got greedy, and apparently they drilled into the center of the earth with this energy, and it created this cataclysmic event that basically almost killed all of them off, like the entire planet. It wasn't like one little section. It was like the entire planet. It was like overnight, like the seas. Then they say that it slid into the sea. So, I mean, these are kind of interesting things, but some of their information is still around to this day. And they say that's like that information was carried on, and some of the people survived, especially the people that knew what was going on. And they are the reason we built the pyramids, because they were able to levitate the rocks.
Wow.
And they still had that information. But it's interesting. They say that a group of people had to stand in the circle, and they couldn't break the circle. And all they did was focus on lifting things, right? Lifting things. So, and they were trained in it. It's not like you and I could, but they say that everything that those in Atlantis have, we could still do today.
Wow.
I can see I went off my slides because it's so much information.
Well, it's fascinating.
Well, it's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
fascinating.
Right.
And what's the name? Do they have like a name? Does she? I mean, she calls them the masters, but
no, she just says them. So she's speaking to like this guy, and he talks about the planet of the spires that he went to. So she'll say the people from the planet of the spires, or the people from this place, or the people working with this person. There's not one group.
Right.
But she said that they're just, it seems to me like the people that have the information on the other side. So she through this, it's really important to understand. And if you have any questions, I'll let you know.
Hi, Connie.
Who is that?
Connie Bailey Blake.
Oh my gosh, hi,
Connie. Are you kidding me? You know, we didn't even talk about advertising anything, and I'm just going to say really quick because it's almost the halfway mark and Connie Bailey Blake is here. We've got large announcements coming up, and it's going to be huge. And if you are part of our women's group, and I actually just heard from Glen Ellen because she just moved to Arizona, which is really close to the vortex.
Woo, that's where we're headed, kids.
I want to say, if you loved women's group with Kim Mazzella, and I know you did, and I miss it dearly.
Oh my God, me too.
Because guess what? There's going to be a virtual version, and you have to be in it to win it. So anyhow, I just want to say that because I saw Connie Bailey Blake, and I thought it was a perfect time to mention the next level of us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you, when I am really like, I've always been very interested in new age stuff. But when I first started reading this stuff, I was like, okay. Like even in the 80s, I was
but you know what, Kim? I want to say something in regards to that because I really do think it's really, really important. Even the most logical of us, here's the one thing I'm going to say, and then I'll get it back to you. Think of how vast the universe is. Not even just around us. The universe as a whole is just we don't even know how large it is. There's no way you can tell me we're the only living beings. Obviously, and I don't mean amoebas. I mean, functioning
people.
Or whatever they are. Don't even have to be people, but whatever it is.
Well, one of the things that they
You're
say
right.
is,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
one of the things that they say is that this planet is the hardest of. So when we come here, and I'm going ahead of myself, and I probably shouldn't have done slides, but this planet is the hardest of the planets, right? Hardest of the planets.
Meaning what?
Meaning that we're here to do two things. Well, a lot of things, but within the general framework of our purpose of being alive, right? We're here to learn, right? And expand, right? So if we're here to learn and expand, when you sign up for Earth Classroom, everybody thinks, wow, you're going to take that class, that course, because
Like
it's hard. Right. It's hard. So this is it. First place, if you're here, give yourself a pat on the back because you signed up for a really hard course. The other thing is it's long, right? It's long because you're here a long time. And
God willing.
Yes.
Not just in this life. I'm talking about once you come into a body, you in the earth, according to Delores Cannon, it's the only planet that they call it, it's the veil. So you don't know why you're here. It's the only classroom that you sign up for that you don't know why you're taking the test. You don't know you're taking a test. You don't even understand. It's the only planet that does that. And the reason why is because Abraham Hicks say this, and I really love it. They say, if you want to go whitewater rafting, are you going whitewater rafting? Would it make sense for you to take your boat and put it at the end of the whitewater rafting trip, right? No. Right. Because the point of whitewater rafting is the whitewater rafting, not getting to the end. The point of Earth is all the stuff we accumulate, all the knowledge we learn, all the expansion of the universe, all the fun that we have, all the sadness that we work through, right? And so when we're here, we develop what she calls karma, but it's not really karma in the sense of you do unto others. It's about disharmony in our energy field. And so we're here to balance the energy field. So when you sign up for Earth, the first thing you got to know is it's long and you've got to do it all. So what that means is you've got to be air. You've got to be a rock. You've got to be grass. You've got to experience it all. And then you get to go up to the animal existence. You've got to be an otter. I don't know. You've got to try it all. You've got to live in the water. And then you get to be a human. And when you're a human, you've got to live on every continent. You've got to be every color. You've got to be every sex. One of the things that she said that I thought was interesting, and listen, it's her reporting. So is she says that people who are attracted to the same sex or feel uncomfortable, it's because they've had more lifetimes as one sex than the other. And they just feel more comfortable as that other sex. So if you've had a lot of lifetimes as a man and you've come in as a woman, you might not feel comfortable being attracted to men because that just doesn't, you haven't had enough lifetimes. So does that's
very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Right. So here's the other thing, you've accumulated this disharmony, right? Every time you're angry at someone, that's a part of your disharmony. Every time you get it wrong. So what happens is, what she says is, it's like a play, right? And at the end of your life, you look back on it like it was a play, and all of the characters in your current life are part of your play. So you came down and you said, I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to learn this, I'm going to learn this. And then you get to review it and you say, how'd I do? Probably not so hot. So often you're like, okay, you and the same group of people go back down. And Caroline Myss says this too. She says it also, that in our pre-planning stage, we all raise our hands like, I'm interested in learning about forgiveness. And your ex-boyfriend's I'll sign up to be that, to be the, someone that you really harms you or betrays you. I'll be the person who will betray you. And you're high-fiving, yeah, when we get down there, you'll betray me and I'll learn how to overcome it.
I'll never forget when you said that to me about choosing your parents when we started working together.
When you
what kind of casting was that?
No, I thought it, right, but I've talked about that,
right,
because I think that is such an interesting way. And you're saying it's Caroline Myss.
Caroline says it too, but Delores Cannon teaches it.
Delores Cannon, but doesn't Course in Miracles also teach it?
Not specifically.
Or who am I thinking of? Who do you look like that everybody thinks you look like?
Marianne Williamson.
Marianne Williamson says it. I couldn't think of her name, but whatever it is, I just think that's amazing. That's such a crazy cool concept.
Yeah,
So
it
you have
is.
these planning meetings where you figure out, now remember, it's free will. And she says, it's not like you're going to be judged on high. You're the one who judges yourself. You're the one who decides how you're getting through Earth school. And so if you think of Earth like a school, and I hope I'm not boring you to death, but I love Dolores
No,
Cannon
this
as
is great. It's
I think we're
okay.
fascinated. I think the audience is fascinated. I mean,
Yes.
I think
Okay.
we're all still with you.
Okay, so if you could go to the one with how did they teach her? That's what it starts on top. And
No.
there's a lot of information on this one. Okay, so it's not like Delores Cannon was like, oh, come here and you're going to teach me the messages of the masters. Like, people signed up with her because they had to heal, right? And in the end, she did end up being a healer and really does think that she helped people heal from cancers and stuff like that. But she found out all these messages were coming through different sessions, and I pretty much told her most of the stuff, but these messages went against her religious beliefs, and some of them included Nostradamus was her teacher, Jesus and the Essenes were her teachers, and different masters from the universe. Okay, you could go to the next. Well, you could show us again, and then I'll tell you what it says on the next one. So the thing about that is, it's not like she set out to do this. She calls herself a reporter, and the reason why they're speaking through the clients to her, what she has been told by them, is because she doesn't change their words. She doesn't force them to. She's not leading the discussion. It's clear that she lets them say what they have to say and doesn't manipulate it in any way. So they trust her. She said that she thinks that they talk to her because they trust her, because she's not after anything. She's not out to create anything. She wasn't in it for didn't come to be a guru. She just came to help people. And in those individual sessions, she felt like they were very helpful, but she learned a lot, and she did not expect to learn any of this. And she says it's like, one of the things that she said was that she had a lot of patience. She was allowing them to give her the information as it unfolded. She didn't push too much. Although if you ever listen to her or read her books, you can tell she pushes a lot. They'll say they can't give her information, and she'll come at it in a different circle. By the way, crop circles, according to them, are already within the earth, and they're based on like old energy patterns that were created from like the use of different energy. She actually says we're here for a lot of reasons, and I think that in the next slide we could start to talk about why we're here. And so it's really interesting, because my boyfriend said to me, well, what was before that, and who created God? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what she had to say, right? So there was light, right? There was this source, and she calls it source, but you could call it God or whatever works for you. And source said, I want to expand. And what source did was blew up and expanded in like these pieces of light in all different directions. And some of the light became planets, and some of the light became galaxies and universes, and some of it became souls, right? And what this source energy said was, go out and learn and expand, and then come back with me all the information. So the journey of the soul is about learning through expansion, and there's no judgment. We judge ourselves. Nobody is out there letting us know how we're doing, but this source wants the information back. So eventually we all go back to source. And then I actually was listening to her once, and they said, well, what happens after we go back to source? And they say, once you finish one school, you go back to source and you go back out again.
Wow.
So you could close that slide. So you guys have any questions so far, or you want me to keep going?
No, it's fascinating. I do have a question. So it goes back to her beginning, much like Abraham Hicks, who kind of like just stumbled on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she was just doing not psychotherapy. She was doing hypnosis.
Yes.
And then she just started, I just want to clarify so that it like make it really crystal clear. And then she started getting these same messages from all these different people.
Well, what happened was she did find a better way to do hypnosis. She developed her own technique. And in that technique, she was able to get more information from the client. So that's what happened. And this technique she teaches, and there is a school for it. And she does believe, by the way, in the end, she does believe that her technique helps cure things like cancer. But so Dr. Joe Dispenza believes that too. Like, because if we can understand, and what I'm going to talk about in the next slide is really what she teaches. But it's all the same stuff. It is that our mind is so strong that we can. One of the things that she said is that we have all the abilities that the Atlanteans had, and what they did, who they were, was they. And there's been other. She talks about other groups of people because they were really far ago. That there's not a lot of evidence of them on our planet anymore. There's been groups since then, but we have such strong minds that we can use our minds to lift up rocks. We can use our minds to create things, and we just don't believe it, and we've lost that information, and that we're so psychic that we understand what the other person's thinking, and we don't believe it because we've become so unheart centered. We've lost our heart focus, and because we become so rational in our thinking, that because of this veil, we really don't use our powers. And so because we don't use our powers, and another thing is that there are people who did use those powers and it blew up the earth. So, but the earth came back apparently. So,
if you don't use it, then they atrophy like a muscle, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
do you know what's so interesting regarding this? This has nothing to do with Delores Cannon. This has to do with like major people that changed our world, like Steve Jobs. You know, obviously he had pancreatic cancer, and he's changed our world. But they said when he died, he was like, "Oh my God, I get. Oh, okay, now I understand." Like so many people have been on their deathbed have said, "Oh my God, now I understand," which is like, can you imagine?
Yeah, and well, I mean,
they're seeing.
Right, and also I heard Steve Jobs wasn't like the nicest guy.
He wasn't,
like,
but he came around to realize that he wasn't the nicest guy.
Right, and I think that when we talk about why they're speaking to us, and so many of us are getting more and more information, is because we're coming to a critical time. We're coming to a critical time on our planet, and you know, Abraham Hicks, one of the things that these masters have taught her is that they're not going to let us blow up again. Like, so that's great information, and we're going to talk about that in the 3 waves of volunteers next week. And if I'm out of it because I'm having shoulder surgery that day, I'm going to make a slideshow for you guys. And
you're like, then the discussion's really going to be great.
It's going to get really fun. We're going to actually hypnotize Kim. We're going to hypnotize Kim. Kim's going to channel some stuff, and you guys are never going to not watch Monday Night again.
It's going to be epic. Her eyes will roll back. She'll be speaking in tongues. I can't
wait. I just want to say, it's interesting because with Delores Cannon, all the people were her Abraham. So if no one's familiar with Abraham Hicks, it's Esther Hicks channeling the collective consciousness of Abraham. But in this particular way, it's kind of like Delores Cannon was the vessel, but instead of it coming through her physically and her articulating it, it was all the people that she hypnotized. And I think that's really fascinating because if you imagine, or if anyone's familiar, again, you know, with Abraham Hicks, you know, she's not able to hear or listen to whatever the download is. She's the vehicle, right? She's a speaker, like an audio, like a radio speaker, and the wave that she's picking up, or the sound wave that she's emitting, is actually coming from a frequency where, from reading about and listening to what you're explaining to all of us about Delores Cannon, she's actually, like, every single person is an individual little transistor radio, and she's tuning in each individual person and listening, right? Like, it's almost like a little, like, you know, you go to a bar or restaurant and they all have a jukebox, but you know, that's one way to get your information and to hear different music versus what you have with Abraham Hicks. I think that's really interesting, but it also shows just how many people have the ability to get in touch with that.
Right. But no, here's one thing that she said is that it's like a muscle that we've got to, like, the Atlanteans just didn't walk around lifting up rocks, right? Like, with their minds, it was a muscle. It was a technique that they had to learn, and actually, and they used the power together, and it was about focusing. And actually, back in that time, only the ruling class really learned how to do it. So, but they did. There are have been groups on this planet that were able to speak without words to each other, because I think that one of the things that I really get from listening to Delores Cannon is we have all these latent things that we don't believe in, all these latent abilities that we don't believe in. We're all like little super people walking around, and we just don't believe in it. And because we don't believe in it, we can't use it. And maybe like,
yeah, it's amazing. Think about how many times, just with the three of you, and Donna specifically, because we do work together outside of this. As far, how many times have I looked at you and not said a word, but you knew exactly what I was thinking?
Absolutely.
And vice versa. It happens so many times with friends and people that you know, where you're like, you don't even say anything, and they know exactly what you're thinking, and then they pick up from what you say, and it's like, but you don't ever discuss that with your friends. But that's telekinesis. That's like a form of where you're literally kind of talking to each other without saying, or you know what I mean? How many times have you been in a room and you're in a discussion with someone, you look over and you're like, just your eyes, and they know.
Or you feel somebody looking at you, right?
Yeah.
Or just like, again, with your friends, I'm sure you've all had that, or your boyfriends or whatever, where you've been somewhere and you haven't had the ability to speak to each other, but you figured out what you were trying to say to each other without any verbalization at all, which I think is fascinating, but we don't even consider that as telekinesis. We just be like, oh, well, I can read my eyes. Well, not really. I mean, it's a whole thought. It's not like move over there.
It's like telepathy.
Telepathy.
Because telekinesis is bending the spoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, like
telepathy, right?
I know this, that like when people are upset with me, I just always know, like, and they may not say something or do something, you just kind of know, right? And sometimes it drives my boyfriend nuts, because I'll be like, what's I do? Right? And he'll be like, oh God, I don't want to talk about it right now. Like, but you just know, right?
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like Connie says with her sister all the time, and she's in another state.
Right.
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 So one of the things that I, like, because I listen to so much of this stuff and read it all the time, one of the things that I really get is it's really easy to live in this world and just give up on the truth. But because we're told what we believe is not the truth, right? Because, oh, come on, that's not rational. What it seems to me like all this stuff is so much more rational than what we've been taught, because we do hear each other think. We do kind of know what each other's thinking. We do know what's going to happen next sometimes, right? Like, not all the time when we're going through life, but you sometimes know, shit, this is not going to work out, right? You just know, oh, this is going to work out. My daughter, we had a problem with her. It was such a big drama. And for some reason, all day long, I kept hearing, this is going to work out. This is going to work out. And it just seemed like all the cards were stacked against her, if that's the way you say it. But I mean, like, it just wasn't going to work. But I just kept hearing, I don't know why it's going to work out. It's just going to work out. And guess what? It worked out. And I wasn't even trying to manifest that. I just kept hearing it in my head. Nah, it's going to work out. I'm like, and it just relaxed me. There's times we all know it. And so if we can use our minds and just remember, just focus on what you want. Just focus on what you want. There's such a simple message, and we get it from across the world. Focus on what you want and get excited about it. That's it. And then chill. And then chill out and be nice to each other. That's probably another one. Like,
do you want to say something, Tracy?
No,
I thought you did. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah. So I've already said it. So Earth is one of many schools. Our bodies become dense, and it becomes easy when we're here to have negative emotion. So we set up this master plan for ourselves, and we're like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to work through my drama, and I'm going to work through my karma, and I'm going to be able to graduate once for all. And then we get here and we're like, oh, that guy's nasty, right? Like, that's what happens. You just can't, when you're in a body, it's easy to be negative. So in all of this, I've already talked about that. You have to experience it all. And so when you come here, it's just so easy to be like, so she said once she had this experience with a woman. She was talking about her getting birthed, right? And she said, I'm going to remember my plan. I'm not going to forget it. 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 She was like, I'm going to remember my plan, because she set up who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet them and what you're going to learn and what you're going to learn together. I'm going to remember it. And she said after she was born as a baby, she's like, I forgot it all. I don't remember. Right. So we just don't remember this stuff. And
I wonder if there's a way to jog your memory. Meaning, like, I wonder if there's a way when you meet someone, you can internally in your head be like, I know you, almost to convey that to someone else, like not in a negative way. It's like a character in a play. Do you know what I mean? Like, just like you were saying, I wonder if there's a way, and if she speaks to this, maybe Kim, she probably does.
Actually, it's really interesting because I read a book by another guy who talked about it was a channel book. And he said that they give us signs, like the universe will give us, we're implanted with signs so that when we meet the people we're supposed to meet and we get a lot of signs so that when we know that they're the one, like that's why when you meet people and you feel like they've known them forever, you have, right? When you meet those people and you just click, it's because they're part of your assignment. And they say, now here's the thing, we can miss the markers, but then they give us there's always setups to get it right. There are some people though that I've been told, by different readings, that some people it's like that A or B book where you're like, okay, I could go with him or go with him. So it depends on what you're going to do.
Choose your own ending.
Yeah. Well, it is. And we are always choosing our own ending because we have complete free will. We can do whatever the heck we want to do. And so you could have a whole plan and come down and just destroy it. And the other thing is, she talks about suicide, and it's really easy to want to opt out of your plan because it's really hard, right? This is not an easy life. And I say it all the time. Like, if you ever read the things I write, they always start like, life is challenging or life is hard or and I'm not saying that to make light of it. It's hard here when we're dense and it's easy to feel negative emotion. And she said in the spirit world, it's actually harder to be negative because think about it. We come down, and where are those negative emotions on the emotional scale? They're low, right? Shame is like the worst, most lowest energy that you can have. And love and joy are really high. That's why if you want to speak to the spirit, you've got to go up, right? That's why when people are grieving, they can't hear their loved ones. They can't connect to them because they're on the ground and the loved ones are like, I'm up here. I'm screaming at you, and they can't hear them because there's just the distance is too far. So, if we can know that the most important thing is that it's okay to be negative in a body, but actually our job is to kind of overcome it. Like we're here to overcome it. And that's why we come so often, because we've got to figure that out. And I think that anybody listening, and the three of us, we're working on it. My mother always says, I always want to come to Earth. I'm like,
what? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she had a vacation life there or something. Not right now.
Yeah.
She really did not. But
I think it's interesting because Carolyn Mace, now I'm talking about Carolyn Mace, but Delores Cannon was in the church choir. Excuse me. And you think of it like any church choir I know, I mean, you're singing, you're on the altar, you're elevated, you're close to that. And whenever I've gone, I mean, I used to go to church all the time. I honestly stopped going out of just pure laziness and feeling a disconnect too, because I'm much more of a believer in the universe and the fact that we have a lot more control. And I don't want to get hate mail right now. So, but anyway, but the point is when did I ever feel really connected? Was when we were singing. I mean, there's a lot to do with when you're singing, and it's any form of music, but church music, gospel. Think about all the movies that you see, right? You look at like Whoopi Goldberg in the movies. You look at, I'm trying to think of another one, Preacher's Wife. It's always around the song and the singing. So the fact that I read that she was in the choir, I just think that's really interesting that you're talking about elevating, because it is. It's a different tonality and it's a different sound and a frequency when you're singing.
Well, think about the arts themselves, right? The arts, they get put down in school. Like those parts of school get totally put, like we don't give them money. The arts are the thing that you do that you get when you're absorbed. And I talk about this too. Like when you're absorbed in what you're doing, that's love, right? Even if you're just painting a wall, right? But when you're absorbed in what you're doing and you're really enjoying it, and time becomes like nothing, right?
Yep.
Like 4 hours pass by and you're doing something you really are enjoying, like painting or walking or whatever it is artistic. That's really like a version of love. That's the highest version of love, when time becomes nothing. And that's when you go higher. That's the thing that takes you to the place where you could hear, right? It's not. That's why I always say meditation is great, but I don't necessarily always hear in meditation. Where I hear is when I'm like doing something I love to do, and then all of a sudden I'm inspired, or in the shower, because I guess I love to shower.
Well, listen, my therapist says all the time, the shower, a pool, a bath, anywhere you feel connected to water, because that is the closest you're going to connect to the womb again, is where you do. A lot of people get inspired. Why wouldn't you get inspired? Why wouldn't you feel relaxed when people are like, I'm tired of a bad day, you want to take a shower? Or if you're excited and you're going to do something new. But how many people get inspired in the bath or the shower or the ocean when they're on vacation? You relax in the water, a lake, it doesn't matter. And it's truly, there is a connection to your first connection. Doesn't matter what religion you believe in, no matter what, we were all birthed out of a womb. And in that womb, we were all in water.
Yeah. So I just want to get to the next slide, because it's 8:51,
sure.
and this is like a really great slide. So what are we here to learn? Two things. There's two major part of our coursework here. It's how to master your emotions and how to overcome your limitations. That is your coursework, right? So Earth School is the overview is those two subjects, but we learn that through every life we live, right? And so we know we've learned it when we accept it, when we love it. And so there's two main tasks that we have to complete within the mastering the emotions and overcoming limitations, is letting go of fear and releasing karma. And so I've talked about that a little bit, but so when you say, what's my purpose? Your purpose is actually to let go of fear and release karma, right? Like to overcome your limitations, to live the life you want to live, and people are like, what's my purpose? I'm like, what do you want to do? I always think about this, and I love her so much, and she's going to know it if she hears it. But I had a client who came to me once and spent about 5 minutes. I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. And it wasn't you, Donna, I promise.
I was just thinking, I'm like, let me listen for some keywords here.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't you. I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. And I said, okay, great. What do you want to do? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you want to do? And she was like flabbergasted. And I'm like, well, you can't create it. How are you going to become it if you can't think about it? So her assignment, for the next week, was every day, I want you to write for 10 minutes a day. Now, I'm telling you, most of the writing assignments are about a minute a day, because try to write for 10 minutes a day. And for 10 minutes every day, I wanted her to write what she wanted. And it didn't have to be big things. It could be like, I want my makeup to be organized. I want someone to organize my bills. I want, start thinking, I want you to search for 10 minutes a day for things you want. And the first 3 days, she told me, she texted me, she's like, I'm so out of the habit of doing this. I don't even know how. Right.
That's a great thing, Kim. That's a great exercise, though, to do just for a couple minutes to write. I think because so many times when people have been like, well, what do you actually want? And then you go, wow, what do I actually want?
Right.
I don't think a lot of people spend enough time thinking about that.
Right. And literally, it's all I do in my work is to get people what they want. Is not that I get them what they want, is to teach them how to use their energy to get what you want. You have this powerful energy field that can attract anything. And how you get it is just by thinking about it and getting excited about it. That's it. It's that simple, right? And we put all this stuff in our way. And the other thing that we do is we look at other people and we decide they're the reason that we don't have what they want, or they can harm us, right? Or what they do to us can affect us. And all of this is just a drama that we've created. And the only way out of it is to plain old love it. That's the only way out. You just got to love your way out. So, you know, it's funny because I have this like group in my life, and there's this one particular person who is doing stuff that is easy to judge, right? So one of the people in the group will call me and be like, "Oh, can you believe this person is doing that?" And I keep always stopping this person and say, but can we just try to remember that this person isn't doing these things because they're evil or bad. They're doing them because they're in pain, right? Most of the time we do stuff that's easily judged is because we're in pain. And if you could focus on, I want to love you because I don't want to come back here and do this again. Like,
that's a great way to look at it.
I just don't want to come back here and do this again.
I'm not
so
going
I gotta learn
this crap again.
All right, I gotta learn this because I am done. I don't want
Right.
to do it anymore. I don't want to
Right.
be mad at anybody.
Exhausting.
I don't want to have to overcome my anger. I just want to forgive you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, God bless the people who went through the Holocaust. They have a massive assignment. I mean, like, I think if it was me, I'd have to come back. Like, I just don't know if I could forgive
I don't think
that.
I could. Yeah, I know, right?
Right. I mean, that's a really rough one. So, you know, so there is one more slide, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if we do not learn from our experiences, no worries. They get to do it again. So I said this, the play is a play, and all of the people we're in contact with are part of our individual Earth school. So you must learn the lesson to extend to the nest. That's it. You got to learn what you're working on, or you don't get to go. So what's going on is many on this planet are stuck. We're at a turning point. We need to move beyond where we are. And the last time there was a cataclysmic event and we had to start over. And those that are watching over us do not want it to happen again. So they are sending help. They are sending help, and they have been since the mid 40s. So you can get rid of that slide now.
Okay.
Wow, I love this. And Donna, I'm going to do an analogy. I'm going to do a Donna analogy.
Oh, let's see.
Me. Okay, like if you think about it, just like a play, and God is the director, and he's like, take two. This time I want you to do it a little more. And then maybe like the angels are the ones giving you the line, like, you're supposed to say yes. And, you know what I mean? And then that makes a lot of sense of like, oh crap, I'm going to have to do another take if I don't get this. If I don't nail the scene. Right. But that makes sense of like, okay. Because people always write you are the main character in your story. You can write a new ending. And I'm always like, God, you got to remember that, because sometimes you feel like a side character where you're like, why am I always the funny neighbor?
That's so funny. But you know that's funny. I don't know if you're saying that on purpose, because you know that's what I always say about my kids. When I always would make a decision, I would pretend that my kids were in the director's seat and I was on the screen. And I thought to myself, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? Because they're going to go, cut! We don't like that scene.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I've been saying that forever about my kids. Like, I'm like, I try to make my decisions based on the fact that they're watching me on a big screen somewhere.
Wow.
And
okay, that's
no, cool. I shouldn't go and do that crazy thing.
Don't get in the car with that guy.
I know. Put the can of spray paint down. Don't, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that.
Hey, Karina.
Hey, Karina. How are you? Nice to see you.
Oh boy.
That's great.
Yes,
okay.
Already.
All right. What was that?
No, I'm.
Yeah. All right. So we have one last, which is that we're going to talk about next week, the 3 waves of volunteers. And it's really exciting. We don't even know what that means, do we, Tracy? All we know is that next week.
How we're being helped. And this
I can't wait.
Why we're being helped. Because when the bomb was dropped, they said, crap, they're going to do it again. And they're like, nope, we don't want this to happen. Enough's enough. We're going and sending help. And so I'm going to describe what the kind of help that when they realized we bomb our own planet, they said, oh, we're on a collision course for the same thing we went through already.
Yeah. And one quick thing, I saw Delores Cannon today on just a snippet one on TikTok, and she was talking about guardian angels. And she's like, we all come with guardian angels, but you have to ask for their help.
I know.
But how many times have you not? I mean, I do. I literally say like, hey, I'm going on this trip. Can you please? And I give a whole list of what I want to happen. But for the longest time, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
It's like having go ahead.
Sonia Choquette taught me that many, many years ago. And I've taught it. I definitely, it's one of those things you got to know about. in order to do. What were you going to say, Donna?
No, I'm just saying it's so true because we've read it in lots of different books and different things. But it's like having, a book that comes with your phone. Let's just say, and your phone malfunctions, and you're either going to look at it and go, "Oh gosh," are you going to? You call the 1-800 number, but like our 1-800 number is to call your angels, and it's like we should be calling our angels. They're never too busy. There are enough of them to help, and they are never burdened. That is what they feel like. They feel loved. And they feel useless if we don't ask for their help. And that's what, and anything I've ever read about angels, that is the repeating, kind of factor is they want us to ask for help. They feel really good. It's not ego. It's just, that's what they're there for.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? That's what we're here for. That's what friends are for.
Wow.
Tonight's been incredible.
Kim, this was so amazing. And I want to go on and on and on and on about this. I'm so much excited.
Well, get ready. We're going to go on next week because next week we are going to send love and light to Kim because she's going for a major shoulder surgery. And we want to send love and light to everyone that watches. If we could all please send a prayer and love and light. And look at this. What time does a live event start each Monday? I'm at soccer practice, so I would love to attend more regularly. That's a great question, Connie Bailey. Like, we are on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday night. And we are going to be changing some things in the future. And the third, can I at least say the last Monday, the last Monday of the month, this is a teaser, we will be having private events. And if you want to participate, we're going to let you know how shortly. We are working on some really amazing things that you guys are all going to be a part of and invited to. But every Monday night right now at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will see the Mighty Mystics, the Open-Minded Mystics, and we'd love you to join. It's interactive. It's fun. And Connie, you can go back and listen to so many other things that we've done. We started interviewing people, partway through our show. And we used to be called Manifesting Mondays. And then we evolved just like we're all evolving. So thank you for asking that question. And this is the part of the night where we pull a card. Everyone here definitely identifies with somebody's energy. I'm going to have to give it to our girl, Kim Mazzella, tonight. Thank you so much for all the research and all the slides you made. I can't believe that you left it to me to actually tell you where the spelling mistakes were. Thank God. I just want to say thank God it wasn't a math skill thing. That would be Tracy Locke all the way.
That's right.
But and we want to wish Tracy Locke much success with whatever she's doing right now.
Thank you.
We wish everyone success with everything they're doing always.
Absolutely.
So are you ready? Kim Mazzella, if you identify with Kim's energy, we're going to pick an angel card, and I'm really excited.
Okay. And stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Body care, which she's going to take care of next week.
Wow.
Yes, I am. Okay.
All right. It looks like she's holding her shoulder. Which shoulder is it?
I know. She does look like she's holding her shoulder.
All right. And divine guidance. You're our divine guidance. I love it. You're channeling so many things.
And I am divinely guided. So thank you.
Yeah, you are. Tracy Locke, are you ready?
Here we go. I'm so ready.
All right. If you identify with Tracy's energy, this could be your card.
Okay.
Now?
Yep.
Okay. Soulmate.
Oh.
She might not think that way while she's packing, but there's soulmate. And children.
Oh my God.
Tracy, this is the move you needed.
Yeah, I know.
Get the home visit right now.
I know.
That's it. Just sign the paperwork. Power of attorney. Okay, Papa Locke, you want to have grandchildren? Just sign a paper.
Make it happen.
Make it happen, Papa. I'm not even kidding. I think that's a great idea. I think Delores Cannon just told me to say that.
Funny.
Imagine if I was just like,
yeah, that would be awesome. I'm like, Donna, I need the lottery numbers for tomorrow.
Oh God, I love and respect you, Delores. Please don't visit me in my sleep.
Oh, that would be cool.
That'd be amazing, actually. I'm just kidding.
I'm one of those people that's wide open. You want to visit me?
I am.
Come on.
All right, ready? If you identify with my energy, here is the card that we're going to pick. Intention, which I love. And it matches my hair, my outfit.
It does.
I know. Truth and integrity, which I also love. That's great. So I intend to use my truth and integrity to take myself to the next level.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, this is great. You ladies, Kim, please, I'm sending you lots of love. Yeah. And Tracy, For you, girl.
You're like, the power of Christ compels.
Compels you. The power of Christ compels you. Everyone else watching, thank you so much. We'll be back next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, share us with your friends, and have an amazing week. And we'll see you next Monday night. Thanks so much.